that this is not going to help poor people. This is going to make a few rich people richer, and it's going to make most poor people worse off.
National Treasury is looking to reintroduce Black economic empowerment as part of its public procurement policy. This follows a constitutional court judgment earlier in the year in which BE requirements were struck down as part of state procurement of goods and services. Joining me to discuss is Gabriel Crouse of the IRR. But before we jump into this video, just a quick reminder to please hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That will enable you to receive all of our alerts. That's every weekday morning at 6 a.m. So Gabriel, what is the background context to this case and what is National Treasury proposing?
So procurement in South Africa by government is huge, let's say roughly 800 billion a year. And since 2017, there were very aggressive BEE regulations there, which effectively said, if a business is not 51% Black owned, it can't even enter a bid for a whole bunch of contracts with scant exceptions. Those regulations were struck down by the Supreme Court of Appeal, and that decision was upheld by the Constitutional Court earlier this year. That's basically invalidating the regulations under the PPPFA Act, okay, which is the framing act for BEE procurement. After the Constitutional Court upheld the strike down, Director General of Treasury, Dondo Mokgajane, said, "We're very confused. We don't know if this means we can keep procuring with some form of BEE or not." And he advised that all new procurement be put on hold until clarity is achieved. We said, rather do the opposite. If you're uncertain, do away with all procurement BEE points and just get maximum value for money while you seek the clarity on what, if any, BEE point system is still allowed. What the regulations are doing that are being tabled right now is filling that gap, is creating the certainty where there has been uncertainty to allow for BEE to return more or less to where it was between 2008 and 2017, before the extra harsh pre-disqualification criteria came in.
So Gabriel, the government is moving with quite uncharacteristic speed to reintroduce these regulations and to clarify the BEE framework here. So what explains this hastiness all of a sudden on behalf of the government?
Well, I think there's been a great win for non-racialism generally, and for the IRR in particular. Our advice to the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, was that it's in the national interest to exempt state-owned enterprises from BEE point procurement during this period of uncertainty. And he went ahead and granted exemptions to state OEs, including Transnet and Eskom. We know that PRASA also filed an exemption application. We're still trying to track that. But that meant that South Africa started to enter a period where we're getting maximum value for money. And the longer that goes on, the more people see two things. Firstly, that doesn't mean Black businesses go away. Plenty of Black businesses are offering the best bang for buck, and they keep getting business. What it does mean is that overall prices come down because you're always going for the cheapest and best, and the opportunities for corruption wither away. For those who are concerned with preserving the status quo ex ante, for preserving the way things were under Jacob Zuma and under Cyril Ramaphosa, with ever increasing incentives for rent seeking, lubricating a patronage network which inextricably connects the ruling party with our state-owned enterprise system and with government spending more generally. Anyone who wants to keep that going is going to want to return as much BEE criteria as possible, for the simple reason identified by both Treasury's former procurement officer, chief procurement officer, Willie Matebula, and our new Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo. They both identified that as long as there are these deviations from cost effectiveness, there's a confusion in law which creates a smokescreen for bad actors to deliberately go ahead and effectively steal money. And Mr. Matebula claims through his role to know that about 50% of the time, government procurement officers are deliberately going ahead and inflating prices behind a BEE smokescreen. And that, in some cases, this means starting a contract that should go for 4 million rand and actually selling it off for 200 million rand, which is simply unaffordable to most South Africans. But of course, it's very lucrative to vested interests.
So, Gabriel, the IRR has put forward a submission to Treasury. Do you care to share some of the details of that with our audience?
Very much so. The period for public comments closed on Monday, but we put in our submission. And basically what we said is that these regulations should all be struck down and government should simply go forward on a maximum value for money basis. That is exactly the advice of Raymond Zondo coming out of the state capture report. The opinion that we extract from that, and certainly our opinion, is failing to do so, failing to maximize value for money. We enter state capture 2.0. We have a systemic analysis. That is to say, we agree with so much media attention focusing on personalities and personnel and faction fighting between individuals. We agree that matters. But on top of that, we think that as long as the incentives are what they are, as long as race-based values trump human values, trump maximizing value for money, especially in a poor country where 20 million plus depend on grants, where the unemployment queue has never been longer, we have to take a straightforward path to growth. We have to minimize the opportunities for rent seeking, and we have to maximize transparency so that corrupt actors that are embedded in government procurement can most easily be surgically removed. So, on a practical economic growth-driven argument, we say that these regulations must be struck down. We also say on a constitutional basis, these provisions must be struck down. And basically, this comes down to the Constitutional Court's Van Heerden case, where it explained to the country how we should understand Section 9 of the Bill of Rights, which is the Equality Clause. And basically what it says there is that no law can racially discriminate, or no regulation, as these regulations do, unless it is helping out genuinely disadvantaged people. It is our submission to Treasury that this is not going to help poor people. This is going to make a few rich people richer, and it's going to make most poor people worse off.
Gabriel Crouse, thank you very much. Let's hand over to you, our audience. Do you think that National Treasury should do away with BEE requirements as part of state procurement? Leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, if you would like more background information on this topic, you can watch this video over here. And if you would like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so by clicking here. My name is David Ansara. Until next time, take care.